Fy fan.
Okay.
There we go. There it is. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with OLA. Today I'm here with Seafood I, C2A, and Aaron Marshall of Intervals.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It's incredible to have you here in my room.
Yeah.
And already right now I feel how it's getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah, the lights do get work.
It's not the lights, it's us.
Yeah. So you guys are on tour.
Yeah.
You started yesterday, like officially in Gothenburg, and now you're in Stockholm. What's the plan? How long are you going on tour?
So we just got started for our first official club show yesterday in Gothenburg.
This is the first headlining intervals in Scandinavia, right?
In Scandinavia, yeah. This is the second intervals headliner in Europe. First time in Scandinavia since 2014.
Right.
Your first time in Scandinavia?
My first time in Scandinavia, yep.
Yeah. And we're on tour for the next 3 weeks or so.
Awesome.
This is leg one of summer Europe touring for intervals. I go home for a month and then we come back in late July through early August to do more headline shows, more festivals,
right,
and some dates with, I guess by the time this is out, it'll be announced, but we're doing some shows with Animals as leaders.
Awesome.
As well. So, but for right now, it's Intervals, C2A, and a young Australian trio from Melbourne, and they're called the Omnific, and they are 2 bass players and a drummer.
I heard. How does that even work?
I don't know, but I walked in for sound check yesterday, and Jacob, my bass player, has played a guest solo on their record, and they were sound checking that, and it's
So there were 3 of them.
my nightmare.
Oh
I walked
my
in with 3 bass players on stage. Jacob with just a shit-eating grin on his face, just unreal.
He's in paradise.
Oh man, he's in
my
paradise is literally my nightmare.
It's like they need a support group.
Yeah,
That's like the support group band.
they're
right
there for each other, you know. But it was they're actually really awesome. Check out the Omnific for sure. They're sick.
Awesome, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like C2, we met first time last year.
Yeah, in London.
We
yeah.
did the thing with Focusrite and Guitar Playing Magazine. What's the Guitar Playing Magazine? Just so I'm saying right.
Yeah, I think you made that up.
Yeah, I actually can't remember what the magazine's called. They interviewed us.
Awesome. Yeah, we did a workshop together, and awesome time. We did a lot of interviews. Aaron, we met in Toronto first time.
I was talking about this recently. I think it must have been maybe 6 or 5 or 6.
2012.
12.
Because I
Jeez.
just joined 6 Feet Under. We were designing my Randall Satan
with Mike Fortin, who lives about 15 minutes from my parents' place.
Exactly.
And there's a photo of you playing a guitar in my childhood home.
Right.
Maybe we can cut to that photo. We'll try to.
Oh, that would be awesome.
If not,
awesome.
yeah,
that's right. I went to your place and down there, and we sat there and hung out.
Yep.
You had a shit ton of guitars as
It
well.
was and it was you, myself, Mike Fortin, and Paul DeMaio, and we went out I just remember, I was telling this story recently. We were at 416 Snack Bar in Toronto, which is one of the smallest, tiniest little places.
Right.
And you barely fit in that place, right? And we were getting some beers and some appetizers and stuff. And then I just remember prowling around Queen Street with you and Mike Fortin and Paul DeMaio.
Right. But we didn't really end up anywhere, did we?
No, we just kind of drank and hung out downtown. And
it's probably for the best.
Probably. But it's funny because... we've known each other for a long time now.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And it's fun to see what Intervals was back then,
dude,
and how it's kind of what it is right now. Because it's a very interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were a full band. You had Anoop. You had a bunch of really good members in that band.
Absolutely.
And then now, basically, I would say it's your solo act.
Yeah,
in a way,
absolutely.
And how do you identify the band now?
Well, I think that the brand is synonymous with the art that I make, the music that I make, and that's how it was from the very beginning. Before there was the first iteration of the band, I was just making songs. I got a Line 6 Pod, the Red Bean, and a MacBook, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just making stuff for myself, and it all started happening sort of by accident. There's been various iterations of the live sort of formation of the group. But yeah, intervals is the shit that goes on in my head. And since 2016, this current live sort of incarnation of the band has been fairly consistent with Nathan on drums. Jacob started playing bass with me in summer 2017. And then it's either Sam Jacobs or Thomas Griggs on second guitar, depending on who's available and all that. But at home and on record, it's essentially just my brain in overload and overtime. And then when we, bring it to the stage, it's been fairly consistent and in my opinion the strongest and healthiest and most exciting version of intervals.
So what I've seen, which is kind of rare actually, is that you went from having a singer, became instrumental, and gained a bigger audience. Like it's usually the other way around or something like that. That's where you start.
Well, it started instrumental, and then we did in 2014. Yeah, so the first 2 EPs were instrumental, and then in 2014. We decided that we wanted to
Now that
try.
you mention it, I think I remember like people's first reaction when they heard vocals on the intervals,
which was
album.
polarizing, and so was switching back. But my whole thing at the time, and whether it was just my personal justification or I mean, I'm still consistent in believing that this is the truth. I think that with progressive music. And we kind of, there are no rules. That's the whole idea. Is we do it. It's sort of selfish. We make the music we make for ourselves, and at the time it was something that I wanted to try to explore, and we had the opportunity to do so with a talented vocalist, and I'm extremely proud of that era of intervals. But it wasn't, it's very clear that that wasn't exactly how this is sort of meant to be, and the most honest, at least for myself and for what I initially started out doing with the project and everything. So love that record and that time period of Voice Within's great, and I'm happy to have showcased my ability to compose that style of music.
Exactly.
But instrumental music is what's near and dear to me.
Yeah.
It allows me to speak more through my instrument and through the compositions, and like you said, it's rare to see sort of that embraced by fans, like going from having vocals to not, and then actually experiencing more success. And I think that that's just based around the fact that it comes across as more honest. It's exactly what I'm trying to do. It's what I set out doing in the early days.
Right.
And that was a slight departure. It shows you that I'm a versatile composer, and I'd still love to do something like that, maybe something different, not necessarily with intervals per se. But that's been, that's the lineage thus far, and The Shape of Color and The Way Forward have been the most successful releases for intervals, and it's what's taken me around the world. And honestly, we're at the tail end of the Way Forward cycle, and I'm in Stockholm, Sweden with you.
Exactly.
And we're doing this, and I'm about to start writing a new record, and I'm very excited for that, and got some tricks up my sleeve. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was just about to say, it's very refreshing to see like a tour like this, which is basically just instrumental bands.
Absolutely.
Like, whenever does that happen? And like, how can you, like, for me, like, shit, they're touring Scandinavia, and it makes me genuinely happy, because what you're doing is exactly what you want to do. I mean, you tried a vocalist, that worked, but you did something else. That's it. I mean, you're free to do whatever you want, because you're not bound to any deals or labels or anything like that. And just to say about the same thing about Sithu and I, we've also talked about this a shit ton.
Yeah, at length in London, yeah.
Yes, because we've, I mean, obviously, I think it goes for all three of us, going the lone route, where basically you're the business person, you do everything, you work up your name. It gives you a freedom to test stuff like you did. And it's nice to see that even, you took chances, your band is still growing.
Absolutely.
And, this is the same thing for you, C2. It's like, you just see a constant growth.
Yeah.
In a music industry, which is totally saturated with, bands coming all the time, albums coming all the time. Like, what do you suggest? Like, if you're in a up-and-coming band, that wants to reach out there, get an audience out there, what would you do today?
That's a tough question.
It's $1 million question.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, like, for context, like, back when Intervals and I started was like, 2010, 2011. So this was a while back, and the market for bands, both instrumental, progressive, dare I say it, gent bands.
Yes.
Like it was.
I'll
we came
censor
from.
that out.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Yeah. As long as you bleep that out. Like it just wasn't anywhere near saturated. The platforms for getting your music out there, like, you know, Facebook reach hadn't just nosedived.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, you know.
I remember Facebook pre-advertising.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And when it was organically viral, and you could, I mean, that's where I got started, is just putting a YouTube video up, and it just, you know, so-and-so commented, and so-and-so interacted and liked, and then it just snowballs on you. Now it's, you know, it's way different.
Now you actually do the ad thing,
Yeah.
and you see the reach just dive.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you do the ad once, and the organic reach dives.
And advertising's also, it is advantageous if you know how to play the game properly, but
Yeah.
the sad reality, well, whether it's sad or not, the reality is, I think, actually you and I have never really discussed paid marketing, but for intervals personally, I spend more advertising for tours and ventures and things than some bands will budget for an entire EP release.
Right.
And that's the truth, like the, you know, the cold hard truth really,
Yeah.
is that it requires quite a bit of output. Once you achieve a certain level, I wouldn't say that's 100% necessary, but it's a tool. A lot of people, I think, are afraid of this advertising.
It's almost a
thing,
dirty word in a way. Yeah.
but it's useful if you're at a level in which it's time to utilize that properly.
Well, the same, like you said, it's the Facebook platform is also, everyone's just using it and it becomes more saturated. So the advertisement helps to just, you know, reach out that and, you know, keep yourself afloat.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean,
Absolutely.
Personally, on my website, I wouldn't or my artist Facebook, I would never use advertisement, except like when it's with my band, like Feared, for instance, because I have no shot in hell reaching out when you know, with my band without doing the advertisement on Facebook.
Yeah.
You have to, like when you have to push a release or something like that. And back to you, Sithu. What would you do? Like you're in a new band.
Honestly, just get it out on as many different things as possible. Make it easy to access as well. Like, you know, get videos, photos up on Instagram, get the stuff out on Facebook, upload it to Bandcamp, upload it to Spotify, everywhere. Make the music as easy as possible to access for people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Would you release an album or would you release singles? If you're a small band, you don't have a reach, you don't have an audience.
Yeah, probably start out with a single.
Yeah.
Maybe like do a video with it, get some people you know that can do a video, get that out on YouTube, get some hype rolling, maybe do like a 4 or 5 song EP to start off with.
Yeah. 100%.
When I started, I did an album. So that was possible back then. But I'm at a luxury point where I can flip between album and EP.
Or single or whatever.
But like, I think now it's just about, you know, making sure that people can get their hands on it. There's no guarantee that they will, but you want to make that accessible to them. The other thing, I guess, I'm a purist in this regard, but like we can talk about marketing and social media as much as you want. Make the product that you're advertising to people worth their time.
Yes.
Like what are you saying that's different or special? What are you saying that's going to get people already drowning in a sea of music? Like what's going to make them turn their head? What's going to make them, like, you know, dip their head over the surface?
We talked about this at lunch just before we got here, is that there's this, you know, debate of there's so much art and music and social media is so saturated and congested that it's like, oh, we're, you know, new acts or new artists are at a arguable disadvantage to start. But we actually were saying that we believe it to be the opposite, where because that's the case, now the variable, everything is reduced down to the product itself. And now more than ever, it's the most important to make honest, like, you know, objectively, you know, amazing music that's just, you know, and I know that's it's strange to use the term objective because art is subjective, but shit has to be good to cut through the mix because there's so much noise. So that's, you know, it's a challenge. I answer this on a day-to-day basis, whether it's, you know, if I'm doing a Skype lesson or a consultation or if I'm doing a pre-show VIP. There's so much potential. These kids, you know, are so incredible. There's so many amazing musicians these days, and they're like, you know, what do I do? Do I do singles, EPs, you know? And I'm very consistent with sort of and agreeing with what Sithu's saying, which is, he said, you know, so you put out a record to start. For me, I put out 2 EPs, and I believe that although I had zero idea and I still have no idea what I'm doing. I think that if I look back, it was advantageous to release an EP, build a nominal following,
Yes.
capitalize, cap out, go, okay, I need another, put out 5 more tracks, build, and then by the time I was releasing my debut full-length record, you know, now you're between 70 to 100,000 people are paying attention on various platforms versus releasing your debut record to a very small following.
Exactly.
I don't think it's worth it.
It's not only that. I mean, it's also, for me, it's all about opportunities.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
and timing.
Oh,
Because you
timing.
have no idea. You
Yeah.
can have a release, and because of it could be like a whatever event happening in the world, you know, it could be a disadvantage to release that day or the day after.
Yeah.
You know, you never know. It's you can't really anticipate how a release will be and if it's gonna, you know, blow up or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that sense, like having singles, for instance, and you spread out as much news as you can. I mean, there's a higher shot of you know, getting it to blow up if you have more instances of pieces of news.
Yeah, it's about frequency of output at that point.
Yes.
You know, and that's the number one thing that I often tell, you know, young aspiring musicians who ask these questions is, it's like, if you have a 5-track EP, awesome, shoot 5 pieces of significant content,
Yes.
put it all in a desktop folder on your computer, and put the dates on a calendar and roll that out with no stress, where everything's completed and you're not scrambling to make content.
exactly.
You've already got it, you know, you can just schedule a release plan, and then you know you have guaranteed consistency
Yes.
that way, you know. And right now, with where I'm at in the cycle, you know, we've been traveling with Mike D'Amelia, who's shooting, you know, video and photo. We stay.
right there.
He is right here. He's
outside,
hiding.
Oh, what a nice smile.
We stay consistent by and relevant by having daily vlogs, photos, and we've been amassing content for multiple music videos.
And guys like that are just way more important nowadays.
Mike's extremely
I mean-
important. Guys like that. That role is arguably more important than having a guitar tech.
Or a bass player.
Oh,
No, just kidding.
yeah, I mean that's what laptops are for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But not true. Get a real bass player.
No, but I mean, it's very important. That's what, I mean, you decide what people see of you.
Yeah,
And to have a professional photographer or vlogger with you,
Yeah.
I mean, you have control over what's being shown of you.
yeah,
And, you know, you can, a guy like that takes badass photos of every show, and you'll have at least 10 or 15, like, really, like, you know, kick-ass,
Yeah.
like, high-quality photos for a tour. That's like, you can use that for whatever.
Oh, I have a Dropbox
And, you
I
know,
can just pull from.
It's kind of funny to say, but like, there's a truth in the saying, "Fake it until you make it."
It's very true.
Like, you can portray yourself being a lot bigger than you actually are.
And that's
it
actually
will happen.
part of the recipe, to be
Okay,
honest,
sure.
is creating a world that your art exists within that's larger than life, and you have to achieve that before it's actually a reality.
Exactly.
And you have to, because you have to pull people in, and that's part of the, you know, how you cut through the mix and you entice fans to find you in a sea of noise these days is you make an enjoyable, you know, environment in which your art exists, and you build a very inviting world in which you're the biggest thing going within it, you know, and that's crucial. And the ones that have longevity in this industry are the ones that figured that out early with zero budget.
Yes.
And figured out how to just be that.
I was gonna say there's like multiple ways of doing that as well, because like the sort of recipe I followed is actually closer to like personality driven YouTubers, where the content is like you
sure.
don't really care, like, you know, a video game streamer or like, you know, someone who reviews video games or just like a vlogger. You don't really care what video game they're playing or, you know, what they're talking about.
Sometimes it's just about them.
It's about them, the personality. So I mean, either consciously or unconsciously, like the brand, I mean, it's my name, but it's also a brand of, you know, music and media under my name. And like I pushed my personality to the forefront of that. Like it's kind of, I mean, partially manufactured. I'm not, I mean,
I'd say you're pretty authentic.
I mean, you do act a
You
little
had
bit
to think about
differently. Yeah, you do act a little bit differently into that. But, it is my personality, and that's what I'm pushing. And like, you know, my thing is like, you know, openness. There's the shit posting.
Yes.
The less about that we talk about that, the better.
Exactly. I mean, you know what? It's. I mean, everyone can do that, but not everyone can. Not everyone will make it look good. I mean, if you're genuinely honest with who you are on camera and like you're showing yourself, people are gonna cling on to that, and they're gonna like you for the person you are, and then everything else surrounding is just a huge bonus.
Yeah, for sure.
Because obviously, like I have a YouTube channel and people follow me. I do a bunch of bullshit, and it's more showing a piece of yourself so they can relate. To you.
There's a word that Aaron said multiple times before, and that's honesty.
Yeah.
And it kind of needs to come through on all levels. There's honesty in the art that you're making. Is the music you're making the truest expression of yourself? Is that what you're trying to make? And if your music evolves, that means that the music that you want to make is evolve. Because I'd like to think that none of my records are the same. Like through time, I've learned different things. My tastes have changed.
Right.
I've been more. I mean, for the Senpai anime EPs, like that was just me taking a risk with including another part of media that I really like and including it, like packaging that up in my music. But that was like, like a friend said to me, like, this is the dumbest idea you've ever had. You absolutely have to do it.
Yeah, I love that. And we talked about this a few days ago too, is that, and especially for Sithu, is the thing that's so cool about his brand is that he's a multimedia outlet, really, at the end of the day. And I don't want to I can't talk about what we talked about, like what your next move is, because maybe some people know.
Let us know.
No,
I mean, like I've told people, a couple of people, but I don't care that like about talking about it here. So like, I'm doing Senpai EP3. I'm actually probably going to call it Senpai 3 because it's probably it's getting closer to LP length than it is EP length.
Oh, cool.
But that's kind of a monster because I'm writing a story for these anime characters that I essentially made up. Like who gets to do that as a musician?
Dude, it's so sick.
But it's like I'm essentially writing a coming of age story for these characters where they're in the final year of high school, but they have to make a choice in their life. Like, what do I do? How do I pay the bills, but keep music involved in my life? And I'm also writing essentially like a short novel to go along, and each chapter of the novel goes along to a song.
Oh, shit.
And there's also going to be artwork with each thing as well. It's currently sitting at 44 pages, 25,000 words, and I'm still not finished writing. But like, for anybody
now you're like, you're doing music, but this is becoming more of an art piece.
Yeah,
I love that.
This is awesome because that's different from what everyone else is doing, and that's what's needed today, I think.
For sure.
I mean, like, no, I don't think any other prog musician has written like maybe like I think
I'm thinking of Dream Theater.
Scenes from a memory
No,
part.
they do concept albums, but I'm thinking about the Ascension. Is it Ascension?
I think the closest thing I can think of is like Coheed and Cambria, like doing like comics.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's that exactly. Yeah, and I've toyed with.
Fucking John Petrucci made a novel.
Really?
Like the last album. It's a double album. They made like a rock opera thing.
The Astonishing? Is that
the
it?
Astonishing.
The Astonishing.
Oh
yeah.
my god. Okay, I'm not going to tell my opinion about that.
I haven't followed
it. But it's
for a while.
different. That's what I like.
Yeah, I've been toying with trying to figure out how to incorporate an added dimension as well, because something that's really sort of integral to me, and I often try to do this when I release a record. For example, when I put out The Way Forward, so many people were concerned with visual elements from the cover art. And I spent a lot of time with Tim Grove is the artist. That's Simon Grove's brother. Simon plays bass with Plenty.
Yes.
He's also in the Helix Nebula, etc.
Yes.
He's played for me. He mixed and co-produced my latest record as well. But his brother Tim is an incredible artist, and we spent hours, countless hours on Skype discussing the overall art direction and just literary imagery and everything that we were sort of trying to convey with The Way Forward. And we both wrote very lengthy dissertations to describe all of those elements and how they connect with the music and me as an individual. And I love literature. I have a high school education. I make music, but it's something that my father's extremely well read. His sister's a freelance journalist. I love that component, and I've been trying to figure out a way to incorporate some sort of literary dynamic to accompany the music. But I think
when you're instrumental,
it's confusing because they're like, why isn't it being sung?
Yeah.
But I kind of want to do it just to fuck with people, because it's like, it doesn't have to be. it's like these are the thoughts that are in my head that accompany the piece, and maybe there's art to go with it. I'm not sure how to approach it. I think the way Sithu's doing it is amazing because anime is already like a compartmentalized form of media, so it works great. I'm still scratching my head on how to do it and whether I pull it off or not, but I love this discussion. I love the concept of multimedia from an independent artist. It makes you way more dynamic than just a guitar player.
Yeah. You know? The thing is, like, I'm just diving into it as well. Like, I mean, I did creative writing in high school.
But you have a degree in
physics.
So it's like...
That doesn't help with the creative writing.
No, it doesn't. But what I'm saying is it's just like, you know, there's just so many different levels to like, you know, you're an accomplished... I mean, you have a degree in physics. Who can say that? You know, we know other people who do what we do who have degrees in other things. What did you go to school?
I did. Dropped off. I did go to college for electroengineering, master's degree, but I dropped off.
Well, look at you now.
Look at me now, exactly.
It was useful for the YouTube.
I'm watching the YouTube subscribers.
I'm like looking at that
on the
as well.
counter. I was trying to figure out how is that hooked up to your YouTube. What is that?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. No, master's degree in YouTube.
Master's
it's not
degree.
really
You get that
hard. But
you get that dopamine hit every time that thing just rolls over. It's
Yeah.
like,
you know the other day it said like it came up like that. It said -16.
What?
Oh.
60 people unfollowed you?
Like a fucking like a knife in my heart right there.
That's
If people don't know
I
what
think it
we're-
was some sort of bug. I hope it was a bug.
If people don't know what we're talking about, there's a counter on his desk.
they seen the counter.
They seen the counter. They know.
They know.
Okay.
It's a side counter.
I've never seen
I
that
asked on a live stream. I asked people to unsubscribe, and there was I think it was 133.
Oh wow!
And hopefully they resubscribe.
Yeah, hopefully they.
Yeah.
Hey, resubscribe. If you unsubscribed, resubscribe.
There you go.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? We were talking
Multimedia.
about
Multimedia.
Yes, exactly.
Well, basically, the thing for me is I just dive into it.
Yeah.
Like I that's been my personality with everything I've done. Like I didn't know how to record guitar, so
Get in over your head. And
just like
same though.
Like you know, I started running before I could walk at every stage of my journey, and you know, eventually, you know, I've got to like a slow jog with everything. But yeah, like with this, I just want to do it. Like I want to tell a story. I want to tell a relatable story. And you know, I've told some of my friends about, you know, what's going on in the story, and they're just like, oh my god, that's like so relatable. The idea of someone, you know, finishing high school, not knowing what to do with their life,
Right.
and how do you keep music involved in your life?
Yes.
And like for a lot of people, music is like the most important thing to them.
For sure.
But then real life comes knocking, and you're like, okay, I gotta eat and pay rent, and that's, you know, that's hard.
That's also why I think you know, a big reason why people love what you're doing, because they see you. You're out there being personal and, you know, show yourself, so they can relate to you. You're just a regular person, you know, with your life.
Yeah.
You have daily struggles as well. It's just not you creating music and earning money all the time. You know, you have your problems as well, and they can relate to you just being a regular human person.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is very important today. Just show that, you know, the artists are not, you know, the heroes up here, you know, we're down here.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And then there's obviously like the mysterious bands that can live off that for ages, like Tool and, you know, Meshuggah.
They come from a different time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we're seeing the advent of
Yes.
Twitch celebrity.
Oh yeah.
You know, type stuff, and I think that people do find themselves more attached to the transparency of the, you know, your average day-to-day individual who also makes art that they
Exactly.
you know, that they are
Well, it's just
interested
like I can't ever imagine, like, I'm not saying I'm on the same level as them, but like, you know, imagine just being able to go to John Petrucci on Instagram or Facebook and just add him and send him a DM and he replies to you.
Exactly.
Or Steve Vai doing that, or Paul Gilbert doing that. I could have never imagined that.
It's crazy. I mean, the anonymity of the rock star, I believe, is kind of fallen by the wayside. I don't really think that it exists. And to be honest, I think that a lot of the opportunities and benefits we experience are actually in direct correlation to that. You know, you can DM me, and you know, my inboxes are an absolute shitstorm, so sorry if I don't see your DM, but sometimes I do, and I go through there and I like to interact with people and answer questions or be of help. You know, numerous times people are like, oh, I've got a recital coming up and I need a drumless track of your song and I love to perform that, and I love to send that through. It's like, Berklee College of Music just recently had an intervals ensemble. And they just performed a recital opening for the Mastodon Ensemble. I was like, can that show happen in real life? Can we get that one? Where's my booking agent at? Can we get that one? But to me, that's extremely flattering. And they came to see us on a tour I just got off of. We just did a North American co-headliner with Veil Maya, and we played at the Palladium in Worcester, which is like the classic, I forget which Kill Switch DVD they shot there, but it's a big deal.
Worcester.
Yeah, Worcester, yeah. And that was such a big deal. And then the Berklee College of Music Intervals Ensemble is there, and to me it's like, I have to pinch myself, like, how is that even a real thing? I don't have a post-secondary education in music. I have a degree in the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I came out of high school and started working at the beer store, and which is a chain in Ontario where I'm from, and then the Home Depot for a little while. I sold CDs at an HMV. I worked as a commission salesman in a music store doing, selling drums and then pedals and guitars for a number of years until I got to that awkward point where I started touring just enough for them to not be able to schedule me, and then I started teaching on Skype to sort of patch in the gray area, and then I'm here now. But I also play with 2 Berklee graduates in my band. Jacob and Thomas both have degrees from Berklee College of Music, and that's just insane to me. But I think it's also a testament to the fact that you just don't need that degree. I mean, Sithu has a degree in physics and he makes music for a living. I have no degree, and I've just figured it out, and this is my livelihood, so it's crazy.
I mean, like, if someone would have told me that my career trajectory would be, I did well in high school, got into a good university, did my master's degree in physics, graduated, worked for a year and a half at Deloitte as a technology consultant analyst.
Crazy.
And after that, I quit my job. And a week later, I was on a plane to Japan to support Protest the Hero.
Let's go.
I was just like,
so
that.
Yeah.
I could not fill in the gaps there.
No.
Yeah.
Like if someone wrote this in a book and showed it to me, I'm just like, the plot's like wildly inconsistent. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
But that's real life sometimes. Sometimes life takes those U-turns that you can't expect, and we I think we talked about opportunities before. Like, sometimes you don't get to choose your opportunities.
No.
They choose you.
They choose you.
That's
and
very true.
And it's about just taking them. Like when I started out, like, the opportunity was, there's a new scene of music. Instrumental music was not, Animals as Leaders was probably like one of the few things. It was like Chimp Spanner as well. Like, they were like the only players in the game in this new scene. So it was just like, would I be willing, while studying physics at the time, to spend the time to learn how to record my own guitars?
Yeah.
Using whatever I could get my hands on. I was using a free plugin called Lepo Legion at the time.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
This is like
Another
this is before you could just like, I have an Axe FX that does everything. Like, just learn how to do that. Grafted for about a year before releasing my first album, and I probably had more time in high school just tinkering with like really bad recordings and stuff like that. But
Look where it's got you.
Exactly.
You gotta put the time in.
You put the time in, and Bandcamp just came, was growing into prominence then.
Major backbone for a lot of us, man.
Yeah, and that was the thing, actually. So I want to move on to bypassing the label, because that was the traditional music industry thing of, you go into the studio, you record, the label does this for you, releases your music on your behalf, but then the things that people don't talk about are the deals, the amount of money the label's taking, the label's having the rights to your music. And suddenly, the internet, being the great equalizer that it is, says, you don't need the label. You release it on Bandcamp. They take, they take a very small percentage when compared to labels.
Yeah.
Bandcamp and services like TuneCore
TuneCore,
or
DistroKid,
DistroKid, things like that. TuneCore's been what keeps the lights on.
Literally the same for me,
since 2011, I think, and was using Bandcamp the entire time as well. And synergistically, those two things together are absolutely incredible. And around 2013, 2014, when I was being offered contracts from all of the usual suspects, all the major, not major labels, but the major players in this particular realm, all the ones that you could, insert band and label here, best decision I ever made was to turn it down, and got a leg up from, we'll call him an angel investor. And it was the most advantageous move, and most pivotal and fortifying career decision I made, and it's given me the the fiscal strength to you know, run a sustainable business in which it's the means to my end personally,
Yes.
the means to the end, a means to an end for the art, and I employ my friends, and we travel the world playing music and bringing a show to our patrons, and that's with precisely zero support, label support.
Yeah.
And I think that that's actually the you know, the key to it, at least for us, and we've spoken about that at length. And same for yourself, right? Is, you know, you run an independent business that's multifaceted. You know, you have an outlet in which you create music, and that's also synonymous with your ability to run a YouTube channel and do all these things, and you're your own boss. And
Exactly.
we're saying as well, whether it's public knowledge or not, you employ your wife, and like,
Yes.
that's incredible, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That was like the
That-
absolute first step I wanted to be able to make.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I at that level that I can hire her, then I will.
That's
Like
the
it.
dream, dude. Like it's extremely admirable too, because that's ultimately what we want, is
Yeah.
to be there for the people closest to us. And if you can do that, you know, through your art,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what you guys are doing is being free, and you have a freedom.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anyone, you know, on a leash. Do you feel that since you are so free and you have the freedom, do you ever get stressed out that you have to put out content on a regular basis?
I honestly don't. Like you
I'm
know,
two ways about it.
I've gone, you know, an entire year without touring.
Yeah.
Like I didn't tour in 2018. My latest album, Homebound, came out in December 2018, and I went more than a year between releases.
Yeah.
Damn.
But at no point during that period was I ever worried that, you know, like, do I have a livelihood?
Right.
Because of the aforementioned streaming
Yes.
streaming services,
It's
like,
keeping you alive, man.
yeah, like I'm not on a label,
No.
so the label's not taking most of that
Yes.
money.
No, you're
that allows me to, you know,
It's yours.
yeah, it's my money, so I can use that to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I write music, while I, you know, sort things out, and I mean, I'm personally not stressed. I mean, the thing is, like, with my music, you know, it starts and ends with me. So if everything falls apart and, you know, I'm out of a career, then, you know, I look at myself and it's like, I'm the guy who did that. If it keeps growing, and if I make it, you know, if it grows, it's a bigger thing, then
Yes.
it's also me as well.
Yes.
For sure. And like I said, I'm two ways about it. I feel like there's a time and a place for actually, like, taking your foot off the gas and kind of going away for a little while. And I see this from a strategic standpoint with particular artists. You'll see it in levels above us as well. If you look at the way certain pop artists or hip hop artists
They're
sort of
waves.
play, there's these waves with it, and they'll go away for a while, and then all of a sudden that first post back in a couple months
Yeah.
is just like, it gets all this attention because it's like, oh, there you
Yeah.
are. Whereas there is something to be said for a constant trickle and staying relevant on a frequent basis. But I think that there's sort of two ways to see that. I don't ever stress about feeling like I need to post content or create content. I mean, I'm at the tail end of a cycle now where The Way Forward came out December 2017.
Yes.
And the further we get into the cycle, the more I feel like opportunities are ramping up. And this is something my manager and I have been, you know, discussing as well, is like, at what point do we call it and just
Yeah.
and go away for a minute, because we're getting all these tour offers. And, you know, I actually thought I might spend the summer writing and getting ready for 2020, where it's like, oh shoot, we can do Download Festival, we can do Florida Rock, we can play a festival in Switzerland and do Radar Fest in the UK, and okay, maybe we can go out and have support and headline in Europe in the summer and
Right.
take C2 out and do these types of things. And it's like, oh no, we should go do that. And I've got a really big November, December tour coming up in North America, where again, I thought I was gonna spend the end of the year writing, and I'm gonna be on tour.
Right.
So, you know, we will have to call it at some point. I'm not stressed about that. I really feel like at this point now, I've you know, to myself and to the people who care, I've really proven my ability to make lasting, memorable long play records that have a lengthy cycle, and you know, you can expect to see me numerous times around the globe. And if I go away for a while, I have a good reason for that, and that's because I need time to refresh and recharge as a person. That's something that I think people forget about a lot of the time as well, is that we sacrifice our day-to-day to constantly travel and be in these situations, whether it's to come to Sweden to play the show or to get up early to come and do the pre-show interview with Ola and do all these things. You know, everything takes a toll. I can't wait for some extended time to recharge and to channel all of the inspiration that I've been amassing throughout this time period to sit down and just barf it into an album, you know, make a body of work that's the amalgamation of all these things that sort of, you know, brought me throughout this cycle, and ultimately will just be, you know, where my head's at, and a snapshot of all of that when it's time to make new music. And I think my fans personally understand that. I see it a lot of the time in comment threads, like, I can't wait for a new album, but take your time, like, you know, and I love that. It's like, you get me.
Well, that's the thing. Like you and I, you and I both have our core audiences, and I've had people that've been with me since the beginning, and you've got your people that've been with you since the first EPs.
I recognize names from the very beginning. But to be honest as well, and then there's also the guys like on this side, like you and I, we were talking about this. We started putting out music at the exact same time. David Maxim as well. You know, the exact same time. A lot of us in this, I would call it our class, if you will. We literally started at the exact same time, and that's why this movement is so strong. Is because there is a class, there is a wave.
There, like all of it was quality as well. So it's like people cling on to that.
For sure.
Obviously, it's a big audience now.
And at that time, if you ever said, like, you know, told me that, like, we'd be playing in Europe together, sharing a bus and doing this and everything, it's like, we'd be like, you're crazy. And a lot of the opportunities that I've had the pleasure of experiencing, like supporting Animals as leaders across Europe and North America for an entire year, you know, sharing live personnel and being a double band with my buddy Plenty, you know, the whole Plentervals thing, like that's something we came up with as two independent artists and a forward-thinking move to be able to sustain each other and tour around the planet. You know, tons of other things. I'm about to support Dream Theater at a festival in Slovenia. In the next leg of touring, you know, we just played with, you know, Children of Bodom and Behemoth and Animals as Leaders and, you know, and who else? Symphony X. And like, it's so incredible. I would have never believed you, you know?
I didn't play, I just got hay fever.
But we also played a show together last night in Gothenburg, and like, that's incredible. And we're giving a leg up to a young band who's, you know, who deserves the attention as well. I mean, what band do you know is a trio, instrumental trio with two bass players and a drummer? That takes,
already at that point, it's like, I'm getting interested. So
it's so cool.
It works.
You know, and kudos to them, man. They're like 21, 22.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, and they're over here doing their first international shows, and they're doing something polarizingly different. And it's like, hats off to the boys, because that's so cool. You know, that's really risky, and I want to always give a leg up to the underdog.
Right.
Because we were that at some point as well.
Oh, 100%. And Protest the Hero and Tesseract did that for me. In Europe, my first time, Animals as Leaders took me around the planet and you know, helped sort of co-sign, you know, the credibility of my act. And, you know, we're constantly all doing that for each other. That's the best.
That is the best thing. It's like, back in 2011, like, I never saw any of these guys as competitions. I saw these guys as friends doing cool things that I'm also doing.
Absolutely.
And like, that hasn't changed, I don't think. Like, I just, you know, I still speak to pretty much all the, like, the names that you mentioned as well. And it's just cool that it's been like that. Like, we are technically each other's competition. But like, if Aaron does well, if Plenty does well, if Animals as Leaders do well,
we all succeed.
It creates opportunities for the rest of us.
Animals just played a show at Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado, which is like the most beautiful venue on the planet, and it's one of the most prestigious places you could play live music. And that's such a massive deal for our microcosm, our instrumental world.
Legitimizes progressive instrumental music as something that to be taken seriously.
Absolutely. And I watched YouTube videos specifically just to get a vibe from everybody in the crowd. And I live for that, you know, like experiencing, because we don't get to experience that. We're on stage when it's happening. So I've often wondered, like, what's it feel like to be out there? I mean, I've watched Animals. I think Fort Rock in the Netherlands was my 87th time seeing them live, which is kind of ridiculous, and it never gets old. We watched Garska the entire time, just incredible.
Insane.
But to see it from that audience perspective and just watch a candid cell phone video, Animals is playing Red Rocks and people are losing their mind, and I'm like, yes. This is what this music is for. This is what it's supposed, that's the response it's supposed to elicit in a human being. You know? And I love that so much.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you so much.
Hey.
This has been
Wow,
a
this
pure
is-
pleasure.
That was so good.
Yeah, really good. Good
Yeah,
job.
thank you for having us,
so much
man,
for
for sure.
being here. And
dude.
good luck tonight.
Thank you, man.
very much.
For
It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to these channels as well.
Yeah.
You have C2A, you have intervals. Oh, yeah. Intervals. That's right. What's up, Mike?
Hey.
Say hi.
Hey, Mike.
Say bye. Sorry.
Goodbye, YouTube.
What's up? See ya.
Peace.